Hi, I am back with another Indian movie called Kesari. Let's enjoy. The movie starts with its protagonist, Ishar Singh, along with a group of Sikh soldiers inspecting the border. Soon they hear a lady crying on the opposite side of the border. She was going to be killed by a mob of Afghans led by a fake prophet by the name Mullah, because she didn't want her husband who married her without her consent. Ishar is warned by his commander not to help her, but he shoots the so-called husband and crosses the border. He kills anyone who tried to stop him and asks the Afghan woman to run away. He is eventually caught, and the Afghans attempt to humiliate him by removing his turban, which represents his pride, before chopping off his head. His fellow Sikhs come to his rescue. After defeating the enemies, they went back to Fort Galveston. Lawrence reports Ishar Singh's disobedience and recommends that he be punished. Meanwhile, Ishar and his friend Gulabo are speaking outside the fort when someone shoots Gulabo on the shoulder. Angry Afghan troops attack the fort in response to what Ishar did yesterday. Fortunately, Gulabo is just injured in the arm and is taken to the nursing room. The Sikh soldiers assemble to shoot the tribesmen. Lawrence asks for reinforcement since they are outnumbered. Ishar leaps from the wall and kills a group of tribesmen who were digging a hole to bomb the fort. Meanwhile, an Afghan sniper hiding behind a tree shoots a soldier running the machine gun. Ishar launches dynamite at the enemies, then he notices the sniper and follows him, but he falls into the sniper's trap as a multitude of Afghans appears and point their weapons at him. Fortunately, reinforcements from Lockhart Fort, led by Colonel Hoden, arrive, forcing the Afghans to flee. Ishar meets with Hoden, who chooses to send Ishar to Saragarhi Fort. No one wants to work in Saragarhi Fort because it is sandwiched among two larger forts, Galveston and Lockhart, and is mainly used to transport messages between the two forts. That is why only 21 soldiers are stationed there. Lawrence calls Ishar and demands an apology for not saluting him. He also criticizes Indians by referring to them as slaves and cowards. Ishar, who is furious, walks away without saying anything. The next day, Ishar travels to Saragarhi, where he meets the Afghan woman he rescued previously on the road. She offers him some dessert and thanked him regardless of their language barrier. He proceeded on his journey, but soon imagined his wife reprimanding him for talking to another woman. In a flashback, we find out how he and his wife, Jivani, first met. He met her while traveling in a rickshaw with her friends. Immediately he was attracted to her. One day at the temple, he unintentionally walks on a bunch of leaves, causing it to scatter. He is scolded by Jivani, who had just cleaned there. To make amendments, Ishar surprised Jivani the following day by sweeping the temple. From then on, they started dating and soon after, they got married. When he arrives at the fort, he is greeted by Corporal Lal Singh and his assistant Gurmukh Singh. Ishar is stunned at how young Gurmukh is. Ishar sees the troops watching two roosters fight since he arrived sooner than planned. He fires his gun to grab their attention, and the guys form a line. He gets furious because no one is dressed in their uniform. As punishment, they must wrestle each other till the roosters tell them to stop. He then appoints Lal to supervise the punishment. The soldiers begin to wrestle, and hours later Ishar heard them singing. When questioned why they stopped, Lal claimed that the roosters made a noise that sounded like, "cook cook," so the troops cooked them. Ishar punishes Lal Singh for failing to complete the task and he is ordered to starve for a week. The other soldiers support him, claiming that they would starve with Lal Singh since he is being punished for their wrongdoings. Ishar agrees and tortures them for 2 days. During this time, we see how each soldier is dealing with their own issues. One soldier's father has worn the same shoes his entire life, so he is preparing a pair of shoes to present him as a gift. Another man is a parent, and his wife recently sent him a letter with their 6-month-old daughter's handprints on it. And Bolea, one of the troops, has never laughed, so Jeevan attempts to crack jokes but it never works. On the opposite side of the border, the leaders of the Afghan tribes gather together in preparation for an attack to take over the 3 forts on the same day. They agreed to start with Fort Saragarhi because it had less soldiers before attacking the rest. Meanwhile, Ishar feels sorry for his soldiers and decides to relax the punishment. However, a soldier named Chanda responds claiming that they do not need Ishar's sympathy. Dod, the cook, says that Ishar hasn't eaten in 2 days as well. When they question Ishar about why he punished himself for their mistake, he responds that he would not dare to eat while his fellow soldiers are starving. The soldiers then decide to share a meal together and they had a good time singing and dancing. In the next scene, they receive an update from the Lockhart fort alerting them to stay vigilant since an Afghan group is approaching to attack them. Ishar stares through his monocular towards the hills but sees no one. They assume it's a false alarm until they hear the sound of war drums. In addition, 10,000 Afghan forces are on their way to the Saragarhi fort. The mob makes way for Mullah, who has captured and beheaded the lady Ishar previously saved. Then Ishar receives a message from his superiors. He collects the soldiers and informs them that they have been told to flee for their lives. A strong laughter interrupts Ishar as the soldier famed for never laughing busts out in front of everyone. He and the rest of the men find it amusing that the British imagined the Sikhs would flee like cowards. Ishar understands how they feel but advises them to reconsider because their death has been proven. Chanda believes Ishar is scared but he enters a room and emerges wearing a saffron turban, which symbolizes courage. He beats the war drum and eliminates the first rival to begin the battle. Everyone prepares for their posts except for Gurmukh, who is puzzled. He questions Ishar why he lied to the soldiers because the superiors ordered them to fight and not flee. Ishar indicates that giving the troops a choice demonstrates that they are not cowards, as Lawrence previously said. Ishar ordered Dod to provide water to everyone who had been wounded, even the enemies. Soon after, the gunshots start, and an explosive is thrown at the Sikh soldiers, causing a soldier named Bhagwan to fall from the fort. Nand Singh comes to his aid but he is being aimed at by the Afghan sniper, who hides behind a stone and shoots Nand on his shoulder. Ishar arrives to their aid and begins firing at the sniper. Eventually, they manage to get back inside, but the soldier dies anyway. Ishar scolds Gurmukh for failing to shoot the enemy. Gurmukh responds that he has never murdered anyone and that he is terrified. Ishar assigns him to the lamp post job right away, where he must convey updates to the other forts. When Ishar returns to his position, the enemy troops begin to withdraw. Mullah and the tribe leaders raise a white flag. Ishar intends to extend the war after knowing that reinforcements would arrive the next day. That way they will be able to prevent the Afghans from attacking Galistan and Lockhart fort in the evening. When the leaders of both sides meet, they ask him to surrender. Ishar wonders if Mullah is prepared to lose his life or if he is only excellent at killing ladies. As Ishar orders his cook to let the injured Afghans drink, Mullah immediately stops it and refuses Ishar's kind act. Meanwhile, 2 tribesmen approach the fort and dig a trench in order to bomb it. They are caught and return to their leader. It turns out that the prisoners are bait since an explosion occurs as soon as the cloth is taken from their faces. The Sikh warriors are overjoyed. Soon 2 Sikh soldiers die of gunshot while the Afghans manage to get to the wooden gate and start to destroy it. Some soldiers are sent out to stop them. Meanwhile, Ishar is concentrating on the sniper who shot the soldier. He ties his monocular to the rifle to improve his aiming and kills him with a single bullet. The soldiers fire the enemy at the door. Unfortunately, Bolaya gets shot. His colleagues attempt to stop his bleeding and Jeevan offers his turban to cover the wound but he eventually dies. Later, the Sikhs run out of bullets and have to find an alternate plan to finish off the rivals. They pretend to surrender before attacking and killing as many people as they can. Lal requests that Jeevan lock the door because all of the troops have been shot. He obeys but he himself is seriously wounded. Before he dies he sits next to Bolaya's corpse and tells him a joke, like he usually did. Lal dies outside while staring at the letter with his daughter's handprint. Later the Afghans blasted the fort's western wall, killing all of the Sikhs except Ishar, Chand, Gurmukh, and Dod. Ishar orders Gurmukh to continue sending messages to the other forts and Dod to provide water to the injured men. He instructs them to remain upstairs in the lamppost while he fights the entire army on his own. When the enemies enter the fort, he grabs a red-hot sword and slices the enemies one by one. Ishar is surrounded but stands in the battleground for several minutes. He is hesitant to kill a young Afghan before he is shot in the shoulder. Chand joins him in the battle, but he is outnumbered and is murdered with multiple knives stabbed in his body. When Ishar is without a weapon, he fights with stones but is eventually defeated. Ishar gets stabbed by the young soldier he was hesitant in kill. Mullah arrives inside the fort and kills the poor cook while providing water for the wounded Afghans. Then, he tries to take off Ishar's turban but Ishar stabs him in the neck. Ishar's bravery impresses one tribe leader, who instructs his soldiers not to touch any Sikh's turban. He also says that they were defeated because it is impossible to reach Galistan and Lockhart now. He departs, but the second leader still desires to hear the surviving Sikh Garmukh cry out in agony. So they set the tower on fire but the fearless youth steps outside and shouts out the Sikh battle cry. He then blows up the explosives attached to the tribe leader's body, resulting in a massive explosion and numerous deaths. The echoes of Garmukh reach both forts, and the Sikh troops yell the same battle cry. Lawrence, also salute in honor of the fallen's courage and bravery. Finally, the remaining Afghans rob the fort and set it ablaze. Thanks for watching and please, subscribe to Movie Retold channel.